Goldilocks Productions broadcasts universal cosmic frequencies that unlock, awaken, and expand the consciousness of our worldwide viewers and listeners.
Are you ready to experience motivation, magic, miracles, and messages from Spirit? Discover the hidden secrets of astrology, numerology, destiny cards, and more. Learn how to use ancient wisdom for the modern world. You are entering into the higher realms with Jeremy Riden.
Hey everyone, welcome to Higher Realms. I'm your host, Jeremy Riden, and we're excited for tonight because we got the gangster of spirituality, the rock star of soul. He's going to talk all about soulgasm. Woo, you heard me right. What in the heck is soulgasm? You want to stay tuned. I know I've been gone for a few weeks for this fall holiday. I'm pumped to be back. Higher Realms, we talk about all things spiritual, holistic, and metaphysical to lift you up, energize you, guide you, give you information that leads to transformation. So right now, send this out on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, share with your friends and family. Periscope, leave us a little saying, YouTubers, go ahead and put something in the comment sections. We'll read your live comments and maybe get what you have to say on the air, answer maybe one of your questions. So without further ado, he's a medium, he's a reader, he's a spiritual guide and teacher, the one and only Dan King. Hi, Dan.
Hey, brother Jeremy. How are you, man?
Man, Dan, I just love the stuff you do. Dan's my neighbor to the north. He's from Canada. And so we won't do all those Canadian jokes, eh?
Yeah. I'll take them, man. It's all good. It's all good. I'll take them.
But notice this, folks, is when look at his hat, raw, right there, raw. And I know that I've been watching Dan for quite a few years now, and his stuff is so real and encouraging and powerful. But at the same time, though, it's human. It's spiritual, but it's so human. And so, Dan, can you talk to a little bit about what's this raw business and what is all this stuff that you're doing to give spirituality a little bit of different style and flavor than maybe what people are used to expecting?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the kind words, brother. It means the world to me. And I mean, the rawness, I guess, is all about authenticity, which is ideally or essentially what I seek to teach people or guide people back to, being their authentic self. And Soulgasm, my main brand, that's what it represents, being who you're here to be while in physical form, but driven by spirit. Because, of course, as you well know, we're all just souls in a human body. This is just a meat suit. It's our vehicle to commandeer through this shit show we call a human life. So it's all about authenticity. It's all about being who you're here to be, because I'm convinced without a shadow of a doubt that everyone's greatest existence lives on the other side of them becoming their authentic self.
Awesome. And I'm just looking at the comments right here, and Anna was talking about that her father passed away 2 weeks ago today. Anna, you're in our prayers, and we understand that no one truly dies. Their physical presence will be missed. Yeah, that's a reality. They're physically not here in body, but they're beyond their memories. Their essence is around us. It's eternal. And next week, we're not going to do readings tonight, but down the road, we will be doing readings and having Dan back to do readings. And we'll definitely take a look about maybe getting messages for your father. If you're new to Higher Realms, we believe the soul is eternal. I do. I believe that there are angels and master teachers and all these great things that are out there. And Dan, I like what you talk about. Let's talk about soulgasm. Sure. And I love this. What is that word? Because I think it's a word that you coined. Maybe someone else said it, but I've never heard anyone really push this term out there like you do.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah. And well, I mean, like I kind of mentioned, it represents to me, and when I got the term from spirit, it represents being who you're here to be while in physical form, but again, driven from spirit. So, and that comes down to being your authentic self. I mean, there's other versions of soulgasm in the sense that, when you have a synchronistic moment, or let's say your father has passed on and you feel his presence and there's just that knowing, the God bumps or the chills, that's a soulgasm as well. But ultimately, it represents living life being who you're here to be, and then enjoying the repercussions of such. And I say repercussions, but I mean that absolutely in a positive term. But at the same time, let's be honest, when you're here living your authentic self, it could also bring some not so desirable situations, because many people aren't living their authentic self and they feel threatened while in the presence of somebody who is being their authentic self. And to anybody out there listening who is on the road to being their authentic self, that is living their authentic self already, please don't ever quiet or turn your volume down just to appease somebody else. Not only does that smack them in the face because you aren't allowing them to experience your fullness of being and perhaps inspiring them to become theirs, but most importantly, you're smacking your own soul in the face, if not kicking them right in the balls. And you're here to be who you're here to be. And that is our number one mission, is to be who we're here to be. And how do you do that? It comes down to self-love. Because until you can accept and love fully who you are, how the hell can you be who you're here to be? And why being who you're here to be is so important is because it's ultimately what the law of attraction is all about. And I don't mean the law of attraction, how The Secret taught it. I don't mean you sit there and you envision your Porsche that you want and it's going to come to you, because that's not how that shit works. The law of attraction is be who you're here to be, and then you'll do what you're here to do, and you'll get what you're here to get. But ultimately, the fundamental principle of that is being your authentic self, which is, again, what Soulgasm is all about. And if you become your authentic self, I guarantee you that you'll experience soulgasm after soulgasm after soulgasm after soulgasm. Women are not supposed to be the only ones that have multiple gasms. Everybody can have multiple gasms, especially soulgasms, once you become your authentic self.
Hi, folks. I'm telling you, spirituality is raw. And so I love it, Dan. Maybe censor a little the cuss words because YouTube.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother.
I don't want
sorry,
you,
brother.
No, I like it.
I should have asked you beforehand. I usually ask the host beforehand, but
I know I like it. I just don't want YouTube closing us down because your message is so powerful.
Oh, sure, man.
So,
no problem.
And so with that being said, Dan, I like it. The juices, get the juices of your soul flowing. That's what Soulgasm's about. He said, how do you get the juices flowing? By listening to your truth. You know, the other day someone asked me, Jeremy, what is your definition of success? I said, my definition of success is when I wake up in the morning and I stay true to that authentic voice that I'm listening to. That still small voice in me that says, this is right for you. This is what you should do, where you should be saying, where you should be going. What Dan is talking about is living life on your terms with your truth. You're not here to, you were born an original. Don't die a copycat. And so I'm loving this stuff. If you're not having the juices flow in your life, if there's not excitement and enthusiasm, not that it's always, like Disneyland in this world. Yeah, there are hard times like Dan's talking about, but when you're spirit-led, spirit-driven, or soul, when you partner with your soul, you can have more goosebumps moments, God moments, energy moments, synchronicities, and it starts by honoring your truth. And I just absolutely love that, Dan. His website, it's got a new website launching out tomorrow. We can throw that up there. It's in the comments. What is that website called, Dan, if people want to get your teaching? There it is.
It is called IamDanKing.com, launching tomorrow, phase 1 of a 4-phase plan that I have about to roll out. Again, the brand new website tomorrow is phase 1. And then in the coming month or so, I'm going to be launching my official YouTube channel as well as podcast. And then the biggie after that will be the book series coming out, and then a very special website, mysoulgasm.com, coming in the new year. That's going to be a special membership site with all my content, all my online seminars, live events, my monthly Soulgasm Momentum event that I do. So a lot coming. It's time to really, really guide people back to self-love on a whole new global level. If you don't mind me speaking to some of the amazing stuff that you were just saying, or just before this as well, Jeremy, as far as following your truth and that kind of thing there is one thing I've learned from Spirit is that there's really one rule to life, and that's to do what you love to do. And the only condition to that is as long as it doesn't hurt you or anybody else. And the unfortunate, reality is that we're in a society that has conditioned us in so many boxes and so many rules and that kind of thing. But really, the only rule is do what you love to do. And if you do that, and if you follow that inspiration, that passion, whatever raises your vibe, so to speak, you cannot lose. You might not win every time, but you'll learn. So therefore, you can never lose. You'll either win or you'll learn. but follow that love. Follow whatever raises your vibe, because our job essentially as souls in a human form is to raise the vibe, the collective vibe of this human experience, of this earth, so to speak. And since we're all connected, every time one piece of that whole, one piece of that collective raises its vibe, it has to, scientifically speaking, affect the whole. So the more people wake up, the more people who are living love, the more people connecting to who and what they truly are and uninhibitedly expressing it, you are raising not only your own vibe, but you are literally changing the world. And you really can't put a price on that. You can't put a value on that. It's literally priceless. I don't know, you even know if you can truly put words to that, but I guarantee you that that's exactly who, I don't care who you are, it's what you're here to do. Raise your vibe. How do you raise your vibe? Do what you love. How do you do what you truly love? By becoming who you truly are.
You know, I love it, Dan. People in the comments are saying this is so inspirational. This is so motivational.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love it. I'm not reading them, but I see them there, but I'm focusing on this, but thank everybody. Thank you so much, you guys.
And you see people, you can feel the energy of someone that's passionate. And that's why it's important to listen to Higher Realms every Tuesday night, and to listen to and read other things that are from people that are living life on purpose. You know, everyone's worried. A lot of people worry about dying. And I always say so many people are expired because they're not living inspired, meaning you're just existing. You're not really living if you don't follow your intensity of passion. Someone asked me, and I did a workshop, a master class. You can get that on sale for those that weren't there live. The master class I did last month was The Beginner's Guide to Spiritual Business. And one of the things that people always ask me, how do I know what God wants me to do, Dan? And I always tell them this. There's an old Hebrew scripture that says that God gives you the desires of your heart. Now, a lot of times people have said, oh, that's the Mercedes, or that's rich, or that's this and that. And yes, God can give you abundance, but really at a greater, more mature look at that Hebrew verse, this means the things that you're interested in, the things that you're curious about, the things that make you feel inspired in your heart and your mind, these are from God. So if you're interested in starting that business, if you're interested in learning a subject, you don't have to wrestle back and forth. Is that for you? If it's showing up in your heart and in your desires, those are your God clues right there on what you should pay attention to. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw it back. We're doing tennis tonight, back and forth. I'm going to pass it back to you, Dan.
I love it, brother. I love it. Yeah, I mean, you're spot on, brother. It's about following that. And essentially, I think what you're referring to at the end of the day is intuition, and we all have it. You know, and I hear all the time that, oh, I have this amazing gift because I'm able to talk to spirit and that. But at the end of the day, my gift is no more special than anybody else's. I may be here to use that intuition on a deeper level, maybe, or on a more direct level for other people. But at the end of the day, we all have it. And again, my gift is no more special than anybody else. We all have something special. You know, just in our world, certain things are put up on a pedestal more than others. But at the end of the day, no one can do you or do what you do the way you do it. I mean, whoever is great at what they do, it's not because of what they do, it's because of how they do it. And what decides how they do it is who they are, which again, why it comes back to, and it's so bloody important for people to realize the importance of being your authentic self. And there is no cookie cutter mold to that. And again, how you perfectly said, how you find that, you follow that feeling, you follow what inspires you, you follow what brings you passion. And if you do that, again, there's no way that you can lose.
You know, I love, man, I just got all kinds of stuff going through me because I love intuition. I love being authentic. Authentic is the word of the night. It's the word of the year, of your lifetime.
The word of this age, I think we're, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we are literally smack dab in the middle of, or at least the beginning of, the age of authenticity. And that's why I don't want people to fear what's going on in the world right now. I mean, nothing happens for nothing on this plane of existence. Nothing happens outside of the divine plan, so to speak. And that doesn't mean there's not choice in the matter. Of course there is. But at the end of the day, we're all here to get to point A to point, or from point A to point B. And there's a lot of roads there. But nothing can happen outside of the plan. And at the end of the day, what's happening now is simply exposing a lot of things in life that I think were never good in the first place. And because it is the age of authenticity, nothing that is less than authentic will last very much longer. You know, we hear the term the thinning of the veil or the crumbling of the veil. Well, yeah, damn, brother, it's happening. And that's why things like the media, for example, work so feverishly to scare the crap out of everybody. Because if we're living in fear, we can't live in love. And anybody in the way of the human awakening does not want us to live in love, because they know that that's the cure to everything. So how do you not live love? How do you not allow people to see and realize the love they are? You put a lot of fear in front of it. And that also reminds me of another great message I think everybody needs to hear, and that's that we never truly need to find or create what we want in life. It's always right there, whether it's peace, abundance, love, romance, whatever. It's excitement, fun. It's always there. But what's also typically also there is that which is in the way of what we want. So it's not about creating what we want. It's about removing out of the way what is in the way of what we want.
Oh, God, say that again.
It's not about creating what we want. It's about removing what's in the way of what we want, because it's always there.
Everybody, write that down now.
Please do.
Write it down. So many times, just remove the fear. Remove the instead of saying why it won't work, say why it will work. Put those things away. Dan, what I love about you, buddy, is everyone always talks about how I'm high energy and how I'm and I'm like, Dan, I love to see someone that's even higher energy than me. And I love it. And I
don't know if I'm higher energy than you, brother, but we're vibing, my man. We're vibing.
What I want to go back to is Dan did say there is a price to pay for living your truth, to being authentic. And a lot of times, what is that? That is rejection from family and friends, lovers. That is misunderstandings. I even say it being lied on, because what people don't understand, they fear. And what they fear, what do? They attack and they reject. But I want to tell you, if you hang in your truth long enough, it will replace the friends you lose. It'll replace the family you lose. It'll replace the jobs you lose, and it will bring your soul tribe. And everyone that's on this channel tonight, you're part of the higher realm soul tribe, and you can see King is one of our type of people, and we just love it. Dan, what are some of the other spiritual truths that you like to share? You got an open platform, and so you're saying being authentic, trusting what you want in your life to go after it. And what else would you like to just throw out there tonight?
Oh, geez, man, that's a loaded question. Let's see what comes to mind first. And that's really what excites me about tonight. I mean, because, I was on your radio show years ago, and I love doing the one-on-ones. It just, today, it felt like it was more supposed to be more of a collective messages. So let me see what Spirit thinks everybody listening tonight needs to know most. Boom. Let what is trying to die in your life die. And I'm not talking about people. Although if someone is dying, let them die as well. Don't try and keep them here, because if they're going, they're intended to. If there's one thing I've learned in this work and in communicating with people who've passed on, it's that no one goes prematurely or late. They always go right on time. Exactly on their expiry date, if we want to call it that. And let's be honest, no one's ever got out of this place alive. So death is a natural process, as natural as birth. And also talking about dead people, I've never met one pissed off dead person. Dead people are the happiest people I've ever met, because they know they were meant to go when they went. And plus now they're in the luxury of higher awareness, higher perspective. So they understand they were supposed to go when they were supposed to go. They understand not only that, but they understand themselves and their life more. They understand the people they leave behind more. Again, dead people are the happiest people I've ever met. So I want to touch on that. But also going back to death, we are in a time of death right now. The old is dying, and it needs to die. Most importantly, probably because you can't let the new in before the old gets out of the way. So whatever is in, collectively, we are experiencing a huge death/rebirth. And I mean, any woman out there can probably say that birth is never comfortable. And so what we're going through is sure as hell not comfortable, but it's really time to trust and to surrender. And when I say surrender, I don't mean sit around and do nothing. I mean, surrender the fear, surrender the need to force a solution. Surrender a need to do anything if you don't know what to do. If you don't know what to do right now, then just don't do anything. The answer will come. But again, most of all, let what is dying die. Let old patterns die. Let old behavioral cycles die. Let it all die, because it's trying to desperately. And the ego, the human ego, hates change, hates evolution. It's literally here to be the opposite of who and what we truly are, which is that natural evolution. That's what God is. That's what spirit is. That's what nature is. So it's going to try and hang on because it needs to know. The ego absolutely thrives on knowing, on staying static. That's why it doesn't like change, because change represents the unknown, whereas what we know is what we know. And that's why so many of us stay in toxic environments or toxic relationships, because, well, it sucks, it's painful, but at least I'm used to it. At least it's what I know, because what's coming, I can't see, and it scares the crap out of me. But we've all been in places where we're like, well, we don't see what's coming. I don't know what to do, or I don't know how I'm going to get through this or that. But here we are. And for example, remember that person we couldn't think, or we couldn't ever imagine living without? Well, look at us all living and we're fine, right? So, I mean, let it die, because your life has proven, and anybody who's listening to this relates to, all of our lives have proven that we have never had a reason to truly fear. Because in all those doubting moments, we've always gotten through them. We're here today. And as soon as we learn to harness that lesson, that we can actually always trust, because everything truly does end up okay, if not better than we could ever imagine, then we create less moments of fear. And what happens when you create less moments of fear? You by default create more moments of love. And each and every one of us are here to come back to who and what we truly are, which essentially is love. God is not some dude above the clouds judging everybody. It's an energy, it's a divine mind, it's a consciousness, and it is love. It's all about love. The cure for everything, all the world's problems, is truly love. And I know that sounds airy-fairy and floofy, or a little bit John Lennon, and it's all very just easy. But it's not. I'm not saying it's easy, but it really is that simple. And even speaking of John Lennon, the Beatles got it right. All we need is love. But in order to get there, we must drop which isn't love. And that is the uncomfortable part of the ascension process, of the awakening process, of the coming back to you process. But it's still a necessary process. Because until you realize who you were not, how in the blue hell could you ever imagine becoming who you are?
Folks, I feel like I need to pass the offering plate, because I'm telling you, somebody.
You're funny, dude. I love you, Jeremy. You're funny, brother.
Somebody's preaching. I had come back. My background was in the Pentecostal movement, but
okay, cool.
So, but what's God, people? Do you realize everything he was saying? There was so much good stuff in there. Golly. I don't even know how to dissect it all.
Sorry, brother. I hope I'm not going too quick or anything. It just, once I start going, because I really do. To me, I just start channeling. You know, because you asked me beforehand, which was very polite and gracious of you, if there's any questions you'd like me to ask, and I just said, "Nah, man, let's roll with it," because I'm big on walking my talk. And if I am a spiritual conduit, which I am, and if I'm a medium, which I am, and if I'm here to be a middleman, so to speak, between this realm and higher realms, well, then I shouldn't come in with any planned anything. I should walk my talk and just open myself up and see what the hell's going to come up. And it's never failed me, ever. So why would it start now?
How people looking at you and they're saying, I want to be able to be a conduit of spirit. I want to be able to really feel that connection to the higher realms too. Besides trusting and surrendering, and maybe not besides, these are the things, and authenticness, what are some other things people can do to create this strong link that you're talking about for being a conduit of spirit?
Right. Well, I mean, first of all, not everybody's here to be a conduit for spirit in this way, but we're all here to be a medium for love, for good.
Okay.
And that's the beauty to this. It's like, I mean, because at the end of the day, therefore, we all are truly conduits. I just don't want people to think we're all here to become a medium or to be an inspirational speaker, because we're all here to have different roles. We're all here to be love in different ways. And if we could all do the same thing, well, we wouldn't need each other. And we really do need each other, because we're all God just translated into various different forms, wearing different outfits, different uniforms, so to speak. So it still comes back to number one, there is no way you will feel connected. And even if you're here to communicate with spirit, and even for your own self, you can communicate with spirit. You can hear your guides more. You can feel your angels more. You can feel your past loved ones more. That's all very possible. But I don't want people to get attached to, I want to do it for other people. Because if that's what you're here to do, that will just naturally start happening anyway. I don't know anybody who's become a very world-renowned medium or spiritual conduit or spiritual teacher even that went to school to learn how to do it. They just were one and they became, it just happened. I guarantee you, Jeremy, you didn't go to speaking school. You didn't go to high energy school. You didn't go to reverend school. You just became your authentic self, and it just unfolded, right?
I went to school of sexy.
There you go, man. Well, and clearly you graduated. I mean, look at that hair, man. Look at that perfect heart, brother. But it really does come down to authenticity. Number one, that is the fundamental principle of any type of connection. Even if you want to connect to people, if a dude, my brothers from different mothers out there, if you're single and you want to find your queen, so to speak, you ain't going to find her trying to be someone you're not. And guess what, dude? If she doesn't like you for who you are, she's not meant to be yours any damn way. It means there's something better. And if the universe is removing you or somebody from your life, so if you're already in a relationship and it's going to and it's crumbling, well, then again, the universe is just making room for something better for you and maybe for her too. But it comes down to authenticity, and you just need to trust that, because if you trust that you can be yourself, yeah, you're going to lose some friends along the way. But again, that just means they weren't your damn friends anyway. But you will, like you perfectly said earlier, Jeremy, you will find your tribe. You will align with those who get you. You don't need millions of people to get you. You need a few people to get you. But you won't find those people to get you until you get you. Until you're okay with you, how can you expect anyone else to be okay with you? But to add to that, a few principles do work, like meditation, walking and going out in nature, which for my Canadian brothers and sisters is about to be a little bit harder because it gets really cold up here, man. Eating right. And that doesn't mean you can't have cookies and stuff like that. It's just, it's just basic kind of stuff where put good fuel into your vehicle, because again, that's what this is, man. It's the vehicle for the soul, and it can't go far if you're eating McDonald's and drinking pop every day and, sitting around doing nothing. So just like you would take care of your vehicle that you drive every day, you got to give your human vessel the same love, the same maintenance, so to speak. Give yourself the oil change. Give yourself a break, man. Too many people are so allergic to taking a break because we've been feverishly conditioned that we're unworthy unless we're productive and doing something. Well, guess what, man? It's the moments that we consciously choose to do absolutely nothing when it's needed that allows us to do absolutely everything that is needed to actually be done. So take breaks. I know you don't want me to swear, but I got to do this, brother, because everyone knows the bucket list. Well, I teach the fuck it list. And sometimes you got to just take a break and take a effort day. See, I even censored myself for you there, brother. I've never done that for any other host before. So and you can make that effort list, which is a really good thing to do, because at least and what the effort list really is things that aren't good for you. I mean, you might not know what's good for you yet. Cool, giddy up, all good. But start with not doing and stop doing what you know isn't bringing you good experiences. Because I don't care who you are. If you stop and take a look at your life, you're going to see what's not working for you. You're going to see what's not good for you. You're going to see what is creating undesirable outcomes. So if you start with knowing what not to do and stop doing it, guess what? Once again, that creates space to bring in the new. That creates space for things you should be doing. That creates space for things that when you stop doing who you aren't, it creates space for who you are. So and the cool thing is that if everyone's listening here, we keep coming back to the same basic principles. We've been taught that life is tough and complicated, but it's really not. Again, I ain't saying it's easy. I'm as human as anybody else, brother. And I've not had an easy life, but the principles to peace and happiness and all these things are pretty damn simple at the end of the day. But it takes consistency.
I'm just loving this, folks. I know you are. And Dan, if I went on YouTube, I'd be like, go ahead, brother, do it all, because I'm definitely.
No, I get it, man. I get it. I get it. I do want to respect you and your show. So,
and but I wonderful folks. There's a teaching in the Gita, and the Gita says, it's better to do your thing imperfectly than to do someone else's thing perfectly. And so we're all growing and learning, and it's just, I'm just loving all this stuff that you're talking about. And another thing that the Gita teaches is it's a gift to do your work. It's a gift to do the things that you desire to do. And so many times we get caught up. I love what you just said earlier. You don't need a million friends. You just need a few friends. So many people get caught up with this, Kim Kardashian group, or everyone's going to be famous, or everyone's going to be this or that. And they're not having quality relationships, or they're not having quality connections. And I just love how you bring it home. The reality is, you don't need all that stuff. Just focus on what is in front of you right now. So many people say to me, what should I do next? What's in front of you right now? What's in front of you right now? Throw your attention to that. And I like how you said things fall into place. The divine plan is happening all the time. And so a lot of times we can take our hands off it by staying busy doing the things that we know we need to do until we get that aha or that clarity or that understanding. And once again, like Dan was saying, we don't have to stay busy to stay busy. But, like he said, I love it. Don't do. So many people, when I'm coaching, what should I do here or should do there? You know what to do. Your soul already has the answer. A lot of times you got to talk it out to hear it yourself. But like what Dan says, if touching the stove hurts when it's on, don't touch the stove. If dating this particular person is always ending up in a fight every third day that makes you feel like a loser, then maybe you shouldn't be dating that person. We make it so harder than what it is. Spirituality, and this is another thing I like about Dan, spirituality is not heaven and earth, two different places. I like, sex is just as spiritual as going in and taking communion from the Pope. It's just all really, about your mindset, your intention. Where's your what is your motive? Not what everyone says your motive should be, but your own heart. And if you know your own heart, then it doesn't really matter what everyone else is saying. I'm gonna throw it back to you, but man, we're here on Higher Realms with Dan King. Yes, he does readings and teachings and mediumship. He's got a new website coming out tomorrow, IamDanKing.com. He's also got later on in 2021 3 Soulgasm books coming out. You're going to want to get on his emailing list, because you don't get teaching that is this simple but practical and powerful like we're getting from Dan right now. And you're going to want to get on that emailing list. You're going to want to check out his Facebook right there and stay connected to this teacher, this leader, this healer, because I'm telling you, I'm being fed tonight. I'm being ministered tonight. I've gone through 3 weeks. A lot of people know that I've had some losses around me. I've had some health issues in the family. And to be able to sit here tonight and allow Spirit to use Dan. And I love what Dan says is, no, we're not needing everyone to be a medium. And we're not needing everyone to be a psychic or to be an aura reader. But I am wanting everyone to connect to their soul, to connect to that divine spark, to feel that love, that joy, that peace. And that comes through loving yourself, honoring yourself, doing the things you want to do. You aren't placed on here to do mama's job or daddy's job or your church's job. You're here to do you. And the more you do you, the less you need to worry about everyone else. But anyways, Dan, you got me fired up.
Amen, brother. You got me fired up, bro. That was awesome, dude. That was soulgasmic right there, man. That was authenticity.
I really love it. Now, Dan, you have had some tragedies in your life. I know that your parents, one or two, had both of them passed on.
Yeah, both have passed. Yeah, both have passed.
How do you deal with grief? How does Soulgasm teach dealing with that grief process?
Well, that's a great question, man. And I've always said that if it wasn't for me doing what I ended up doing in life, which is what I'm doing today, and And if it wasn't for what I've come to know, and I'm so grateful for everything that I've experienced that has brought me to what I know, because a big thing of what I do, and especially my books, and I'm very, very upfront about this, is that yes, everything I teach has come from spirit. It's almost like I was instructed not to read anyone else's book or anything like that. It's so I can just be that kind of pure download, or pure conduit, if you will, and not be influenced by too many other teachings. But it's not just the fact of what spirit gave me and what spirit has taught me through being a medium or a conduit. It's that my life has proven every ounce of my message or their message. Because at the end of the day, I'm just the messenger. And if it wasn't for what I've come to know, I don't know how I would have handled, especially losing my mom. I mean, I love my dad equally as my mom, but my mom went first. And me and my mom, man, we were so tight. I was an only child, which I've always been grateful for as well. But yeah, man, if it wasn't for me knowing that, for example, no one leaves before they're supposed to, if it wasn't for me knowing that we live on far beyond this physical experience, I honestly cannot there's no way I could have ever handled it the way I have. But the best way to handle grief is, number one, to allow yourself to grieve. You have to. You have to. What's the best way I can say this? You have to honor this human experience and everything that comes with it. And so many people think that being spiritual or awake or woke is like the cool new term, is all about nothing bugs you and it's all kumbaya and everything rolls off your back. And that's absolute BS. There's nothing spiritual about that, because spirituality is authenticity at the end of the day. And there's nothing authentic about hiding your feelings or pretending something hasn't affected you. I mean, how can losing a loved one not affect you? Especially to our brothers out there, man. I know that we've been conditioned for men to be the tough guys and we swallow our feelings. But that's why you see more men becoming alcoholics. That's why you see more men, turning to drugs or sex as like their way of valuing themselves. How often they get laid. And it's because we haven't been taught that it's okay to express yourself emotionally. And if you do that, or if you don't do that, I'm telling you, man, that bottle is going to pop, because everything is energy, including our emotions. And energy has to transform or transmute. It has to go somewhere. And if we don't consciously become aware of it and consciously do something with it, it's going to come out in ways we don't want it to. And I think we can all say we've been there before.
Yes.
The best example is people just snap one day. And it typically comes out on the people that love them the most, because subconsciously we realize that those people love us unconditionally and they're going to take it. But those people don't deserve it. No one deserves that. And you don't deserve what happened to you, but you need to become conscious of it and honor it and deal with it in a healthy way, which is a perfect segue into something I teach as a big part of my teachings. And in my beautiful, eloquent way, I call it the soul puke. And what the soul puke is, it's dumping your feelings onto paper. It's puking that up, man, spiritually. Because when you do that, and people think, oh, that's just some airy-fairy shit. No, it's not, man. I mean, you literally, because it's energy, you can literally transmute that emotion onto paper. And when you do that, you're literally transmuting it and getting it out of you onto the paper. And once you do that, and do it in the rawest, there's the raw again, the rawest form possible. If you're abused by your mom or dad, or if you're abused by an ex or whatever, go off on them on paper. You're not hurting them. You're honoring you. And they're not even just going to see the damn thing. This is not about hurting anybody's feelings. It's about honoring your feelings. And until you deal with those feelings in the proper way, they're going to run your life without you even realizing it. So whether it's grief, whether it's trauma, whether it's abuse, pain, sadness, resentment, jealousy, whatever, soul puke it out onto paper first and foremost, especially with grief. Because if there's one thing that those who pass on don't want us to do, it's to remain sad on their account. So many people think, well, if I move on, I'm dishonoring those people who have moved on. But no, that's not the case. If anything, if you really want to honor them, be grateful that they're gone, because they were supposed to be. And no one leaves this plane of existence until they've done what they've come here to do. So in that sense, death is really a graduation of sorts. And there's no bigger honor for a soul to come here and be finished of what we came here to do. Because we all know it's not the easiest game in town. Actually, let's be honest, it's the hardest game in town. So if you really want to honor those loved ones who have passed, yes, grieve them. You have to, because it's normal to grieve. It's unhealthy not to. But don't hang on to that grief for their sake. Grieve as long as you have to grieve, but for their sake, move on. For their sake, become who you were here to be, because they love watching nothing better than someone becoming their authentic self and living their highest purpose.
Man, I love that, Dan. I just really so honored to have you here tonight. Folks,
oh, dude, I'm honored to be here, brother.
If you listen to what he just said, if there's one spiritual practice that you could add to your discipline in 2021, is to start journaling. To start journaling maybe before you go to bed, as he calls soul puke, throwing out. You know, we have Melissa Parks, who does a show called Joy, her show on Wednesdays at 1, Joyful Findings. She taught a class on automatic writing, and that's where for about a half an hour, 15 minutes, you write as fast as you can without censoring yourself. You're not talking about a detailed list or a shopping list. You're just putting down on paper as fast as you can whatever pops in your head. And what will happen is through that purging, through that transfer of energy from your thoughts to paper, things that are in your subconscious, wisdom that's trapped in your experiences starts coming out. I always say that journaling is a way of finding purpose in the pain and wisdom in your wounds. And that's in you, but it's got to come out. And for those that have had trauma, my book, Your Soul Story, How to Create the Life You Always Wanted, it deals with being able to feel your full, lean into the grief, lean into the anger, lean into it. You can lean into it and experience it without becoming it. So I can feel anger without becoming an angry man all the time. I can feel sadness without becoming a depressed woman all the time. And there's a difference between acknowledging an emotion and living that as a personality trait. And that book helps deciphers that. We got another 15 minutes. I got Dan King, the spiritual rock star. He brings in the raw truth, and you know, it's just phenomenal. I'm so glad you're here tonight, Dan. And you know, when you talk about the age of being authentic, where do you see us in 2021? Do you have any in spirit giving you any insights on where we're going as a world, as a human race here in this next year?
Yeah, well, I mean, the best thing I could. Pardon me.
I know that's a very vague question. But
well,
yeah.
no, it's all good, man. And I appreciate the question. It's going to get tougher before it gets easier. I'll put it to you that way. But I think most people can kind of see that coming. But it needs to happen. But what's going to happen is what I'll put it to you this way: the darkness in our world is not only going to be exposed; it's slowly exposing itself. And the reason why that is because, look, this everything is founded on light. Everything is created from light. And therefore, everything is light. Just some creations are very far from that light. It's still an extension of light, but it still emanates from light. I mean, darkness isn't even a thing. It's just lack of something, and it's lack of light. So point being, when light comes into darkness, darkness cannot stick around. It's literally scientifically impossible for darkness to hang around in the face of light. I mean, you walk into a dark room, you flip on a light switch, darkness can't try and fight the light and like, I want to hang out here. It literally scatters. And same with the world. What's happening right now is there's so many people awakening. There's so many souls here anchoring that light in this huge time, probably the biggest time in human history, the Great Awakening, if you want to call it, where we truly are going to live in the physical as we are in spirit eventually. But first, again, what we're not, just like in our own individual lives, we need to expose who we're not before we realize who we are. So we're going through that on a collective level right now. What isn't true? The darkness. And when I say darkness, not even necessarily has to be evil. It's just what isn't true. But there is a lot of evil that's going to be exposed as well. but again, you need to realize what isn't true until you become aware of what is true. So we're going through a huge rebirthing stage, a huge death stage as well, as I mentioned earlier. But ultimately, what we're coming through in the process we're experiencing is really coming back to light and coming back to love. It just is going to seem a little messy on the way there. And all anyone's really going to be able to do, and the best thing anyone can do, is to think like your true self. Think like the soul. If you think like the soul, you'll feel like the soul. If you feel like the soul, you're aligning with your soul, and not only aligning with your own soul, but the outcomes and experiences that your soul is here to have. So literally, for many people that are staying anchored to love, anchored to higher energy, all this crazy stuff is going to be going on around us, but we won't be experiencing it the same way someone who's living in a fearful perspective might be. And for the record, there is no better or worse. Everybody is here where they are in life, and even including along this awakening process or this consciousness kind of thing. Everyone is doing the best they can with the awareness they have, and everybody is where they're supposed to be, and everything is necessary. Every part of this human experience is necessary. Many souls have come here to not awaken because it's important to kind of anchor that fear energy as well, so that it's there to be transcended. Because otherwise, there's no purpose to coming here, man. Where we're all from in spirit, it's all love, man. So we come here for a purpose. We come here to transcend fear. We come here with the sense of almost a spiritual amnesia, if you will, to forget who and what we truly are, so that we can fully immerse ourselves in this human experience. And it's really a game of forget in order to remember. Forget who you are. And that's why we choose, so many people choose an abusive parent who didn't validate them or didn't give them the love that they deserved, or an abusive brother or sister, or an abusive teacher, or whoever. But many people have, and if not most people, have chosen people to rob them of their self-love so that they are forced to garner it for themselves. And the beauty of creating self-love is that no one gave it to you, therefore no one can take it away. It's an inside job. And if we harness that as we're intended, as many people are intended to, nothing can literally touch you. And I want people to remember that seemingly scientific example about, when you flip a light switch on, darkness has to scatter. If you are in a certain frequency, nothing can touch you, from disease to darkness of any kind. And even if you look in that word, disease, dis-ease, lack of ease, sickness comes from stress, comes from living fearfully, comes from low vibrational living. And if you get to a higher frequency, you can't be sick in the truest sense of the word. You just can't. You might get a cold here and there or whatever, but you can't have dis-ease if you are consciously working to be at ease as much as humanly possible.
Man, we're getting a lot of teaching with Dan King in the house. He's the Canadian psychic. But anyways, I love everything you're teaching. The spiritual teachings actually is what I'm loving tonight.
Thank you.
The thing is as I tell people, all is God. So even the darkness is God in a
Absolutely.
way. And Dan's just saying some of the fear here is a gift for you to learn how to truly love yourself. And I think that's an aha moment there. That for a lot of you, you're realizing, these obstacles really are not punishments, but these are the things that are going to help me create the kind of love, the kind of faith, the kind of joy that I ultimately say that I want. I always tell people that even your negative, what you think are negative messages, your feelings are messages. And even if it sounds like a negative feeling, it's just your misunderstanding of what the message is. When you have fear, that fear isn't always trying to defeat you. You think it's trying to defeat you, but that fear is concerned for your safety. And so what happens is, as children, we weren't always safe by our parents, or we weren't always safe by certain adults. And so we develop a healthy fear for some things. But now that we are adults, now that we have the right to lead our own lives, sometimes fear pops back up as a trigger or as a safety measure because it thinks it's helping you. But you got to tell that fear, hey, fear, I'm no longer 4 years old. I'm no longer 8 years old. I'm no longer helpless. I'm a grown up. I'm an adult. And I understand the decisions that are in my life to make. And that will help you to start having conversations with yourself, just like, like low self-esteem. You might be feeling really ugly about yourself. That's not to bring you down. What you need to realize is I'm feeling really ugly or fat. Really what's going on is my self-esteem is saying, hey, I need some attention. I need some encouragement. And so learn that even the negative voices, you can turn that around to a positive message if you sit there and don't look at just what you think is the obvious, but what's the underneath? What is the underneath message? I'm going to tell you a real story about darkness, though. Years and years ago, when I was in the particular Christianity set, and I was a young minister, I had worked very, very hard being an intern minister at certain places, not making very much money. One year I had the opportunity to intern for a church that was a mega church. And during that year, I had a beautiful home given to me from the church, the parsonage, beautiful salary, lot of open doors. And it was getting ready for me to be, become the full-time pastor, no longer an intern. And the executive board pulled me aside and said, listen, we love your preaching. We love your teaching. We love your ministry. But this was a predominantly white church in the South. And I had started a bus ministry in the projects. And so I was picking up a lot of African-American poor children and bringing them into Sunday school. And I never told this story. I'm telling it for a reason. They looked at me and said, all this, the house, the money, the prestige, the position is yours if you promise not to pick up any more little, and they said the N word. So don't pick up any more little and bring them to the church, because we don't want to really stain our pews or ruin our, everyone's got their, and I was flabbergasted that in the 21st century, that would even come out as someone who says they're spiritual. That's darkness, my friend. And you know what I did? I didn't have to think about it. There could have been something in me that said, oh, well, go ahead, become pastor, promise that you won't do that, then turn around and change it. But no, I would have been lying. That's not my spirit. That's not my soul. So you know what I did? I walked away from all that. And I have no regret. I have no regret. Sometimes you got to walk away. When Dan says you got to let things die, sometimes you got to walk away from environments that are no longer in alignment with who you are on a spiritual level. Mm-hmm. And that's not always easy, but that's integrity. That is integrity. That is integrity. And sometimes, because I like to, let's all get along, let's love one another. Sometimes my message is going to be totally contrary to many people. But I have got to still honor my message. Even on this show, Goldilocks, there are quite a few different views on this network. Rarely will you find everybody that agrees on everything. And I don't necessarily need everyone to agree on every point that I make for us to be brothers and sisters, for us to treat each other with kindness. But on some major things that I call non-negotiables for my soul, I got to be willing to walk away from those things that insult it. Back to you, Dan.
No, spot on, brother. Spot on. And thank you for sharing that story for everybody. I'm glad I wasn't there, because I think you're a little bit more polite than I am. But anyways, yeah, man. I mean, if we and I know I guess we're wrapping up soon. I just checked the time. But I mean, if there's one more thing I'd want everybody to hopefully walk away from or with today, it's that, and this relates to what we were speaking about earlier, I think, in many ways, and it's that there really is no good and bad in life as far as our experiences are concerned. It's all necessity for growth. Yes. Every single one of us have come here, and the part of us that knows and that can't screw up, which is the soul, chose it all. Everything about us, everybody we've come into contact with, especially major relationships, and major experiences, all of it we chose, knowing it was all of it that we needed in order to learn what we came here to learn and become who we're here to become, and therefore do what we're here to do. So there is no good and bad, simply necessity for growth. And there's a lesson in everything. This is what I like to call soul school. And the important thing to grasp, looking at human life in the context of soul school, is that once you get the lesson, you no longer need the teacher. So if you are, if if you catch yourself in this ongoing cycle of things you don't want to be experiencing, like toxic relationships, for example, I think is probably, a very relatable example. But too many people take the victim approach, like, well, why is this happening to me? And when all you're approaching it with is, why is this happening to me? You're putting out the energy of the universe and all the universe picks up on, it's happening to me. So you're regurgitating the same stuff all over and over and over and over again. And all it can do is reflect back to you what you're focusing on, which is, it's happening to me. If you want to move on from it, you need to learn the lesson. So therefore, don't ask, why is this happening? Ask, what am I supposed to learn from it? Once you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers. And once you get the lesson, you no longer need the teacher. Once you get what that undesirable situation is teaching you, it will no longer have a purpose to show up in your life. So if you want to get rid of something, first of all, ask why, what am I to learn from it? And if you really want to be badass, be grateful for it, because you know it's there presenting some sort of lesson to you. The most badass thing to do is to be grateful for a horrible thing happening to you. And you know why? Because then you move on from the phase of lessons of having to have bad stuff happen to you in order to see the good and bad stuff. Once you realize that everything that happens to you has a higher good to it, you no longer need crazy bad stuff to happen to you in order for you to appreciate the good and the bad. Once you get the good and the bad, you no longer need the bad to teach you there's good and the bad. And you move on to easier lessons and more softer, if you will, lessons. But everything is, again, a necessity for growth. And I wrote a note down while you were talking. Oh, right. Life at the end of the day is an ongoing series of, I had to go there to get here. And once we realize that, we just start to flow a little more, man. We start to worry a little less. We start to fear a little less. We start to enjoy life a little more. And that's what everybody deserves. At the end of the day, it's not always a fun ride, but it's still a ride for the soul. And it's our job to learn to enjoy that ride. And that's all I could wish for everybody, is just to learn to enjoy this ride as best as you can, because that's all we can ask of ourselves and all we can ask of each other, is to be our authentic self as much as possible, be kind to each other, and enjoy this hell of a ride as much as we can until we get to the end.
Man, I'm loving it. It's like one of my things I love to say, all things are working for my highest good. It's all working towards my highest good, which is my soul. Here's Dan's website, IamDanKing.com. Gets launched tomorrow. Go look at it. He's got a membership site where you can, down the road, you're going to start learning that you can get these teachings on a regular basis, which I would want. The books, all this stuff that is coming to you. We got like another minute or so, and a very important question, Dan. I see you got the king. Is that the king above you?
It is the king. Well, the king of rock and roll. Yes, the king of rock and roll.
I love it. So you an Elvis fan?
A little bit. Yeah, you can say that. A little bit, man. I definitely am. Also Bob Marley fan, and my favorite quote from Bob Marley, it's one of his greatest songs. And if I want anybody to know anything after tonight, and again, thank you for having me on your show, but I just want everyone to truly know, and please trust me in these words, man, and it's Bob Marley's words, that every little thing truly is going to be all right.
Man, I love that. Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming. Next Tuesday, everyone, what's interesting, next Tuesday, I have another Canadian, Sheila Scott, coming on the show next Tuesday. And so, or actually on the 27th. So I'm loving my Canadian brothers and sisters. And Dan, I just want to say once again, thank you. I'm going to try to be more authentic. I'm going to focus more on not trying to create something, but moving what's in the way, just moving the obstacle out of the way, which is fear, and just move the fear away, and love already comes in. And great insight. Most of you already know what you don't need to be doing. Stop resisting, just letting it go. So anyways, Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
We'll be looking at that website, IamDanKing.com. Look out, look at launches what?
So I just want to say launches tomorrow night at 11:11 Eastern Central Time, or Eastern Standard Time.
All right, 11:11 tomorrow. And then also Dan's on Facebook, Instagram. Check him out on social media. Send him a little thing. He probably does his own readings and stuff that you can check out. We'll see everyone next Tuesday, 8 p.m. at Higher Realms. Enjoy your week ahead. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much for having me, brother.
Bye-bye.
God bless you, brother. Thank you.
Become a Goldilocks Productions VIP patron. Receive exclusive access to live stream special and other epic perks. Join the Goldilocks Productions VIP community today.